Well, I'm joined by Rafe Heydel-Mankoo, royal commentator and historian. Rafe, good evening. If we go back through history, monarchs being unwell, historically not unusual.
Not unusual at all. I mean, the major difference, of course, and we have to also remember that if we are to believe what was in Giles Brander's recent book on the Queen too may have had bone cancer as well. So certainly, and of course we know that her late father, King George VI, suffered from lung cancer. So certainly there is a history of cancer within the royal family. But of course this goes to the broader issue of we have an aging monarchy because of medicine and technology. Monarchs are living for far longer than they used to, and so health issues are now a much more prevalent factor of life for members of the royal family, as we've seen with the Duke of Edinburgh first, and then the Queen, and now, of course, with King Charles. And, of course, as you were discussing earlier, it does raise serious issues about the King's decision to slim down the monarchy. Yeah. A very sensible idea when first broached.
It now looks to be impossible.
Well, of course, we have to remember it did involve Prince Andrew playing a part, and of course the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Now, this is about a 10 to 15-year problem to a degree, because we're all waiting for the children of Prince William to become of age when they can take up some of that burden. But there's a possibility now at this stage for perhaps the King's nephews and nieces to take up a stance here, because, of course, we have Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, who have performed functions in the past as working royals. Now, they live primarily abroad or between New York and London, so whether they want to take up those duties. But also there are the children of Prince Edward, the current Duke of Edinburgh, and within the next 5 to 10 years we could easily see them beginning to take up roles. They don't use a title of Prince and Princess, but they both are legally under law Royal Highnesses, and so they could be seen. So there are possible avenues.
You say there's a gap here.
But there's a gap. There's at least a 5 to 10 year gap, and of course the Dukes of Kent and Gloucester are now approaching 80 and 90 respectively, and they've taken a back seat. So there's really very little room left for the monarchy, and the monarchy has to be seen, and to be seen to be doing good. It's one thing to be head of state, but the monarchy is also head of the nation, and as head of the nation, it's the supreme champion of civic duty. So it has to be seen across the length and breadth of this nation, opening centres and hospitals, visiting the Girl Guides and soup kitchens, really basically being able to give attention to the unsung heroes of Britain. And unfortunately, a slimmed-down monarchy simply isn't able to fulfil that functional role, because we're far larger than Belgium or Denmark or Norway, so we can't be a bicycling monarchy with our size of population.
And there's never been a precedent for a monarch that was unwell stepping down. They always continue in their role right to the very end. Although councillors of state can be appointed, if the king had to undergo very serious medical treatment, he would then appoint a councillor of state, wouldn't he? Just explain to the viewers what that actually means.
So luckily, as far as we know, the King's current treatment will not require him to be incapacitated in any way whatsoever. But under the Regency Act, if the King is ever incapacitated due to ill health, or indeed is out of the country and unable to fulfil his duties, then one of his councillors of state can step in. Well, two of them have to work together to step in to act on behalf of His Majesty. Those are basically the spouse of the monarch and the next four in the line of succession, although the King has increased the numbers to include his sister Princess Anne and also Prince Edward. Now, the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, and the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, are also in this list of councillors of state, but it was announced in the House of Lords in November 2022 that only working royals can actually fulfil those functions, which excludes them. But in terms of abdication, the point you raised earlier, I mean, the King is very much like his mother. He was born into the age of empire, and he really regarded the coronation as a sacrament, a job for life, one that you don't step down. Now, we know that Prince William doesn't have the same sort of spiritual attachment to the idea of the crown and the Church of England and so forth, so I wouldn't be surprised, it's pure speculation, if Prince William, when he becomes king, decides to follow the European model. We even have popes now abdicating.
Well, I was going to say, which had never happened before.
Because if you think about it, the monarchy has always been at its strongest when it's captured youth. So the young Princess Victoria, the young Princess Elizabeth, and Prince William may realise, gosh, we're going to have a series of very middle-aged monarchs in the future, unless perhaps we start this tradition. I don't know whether that's going to be the case or not, but it's an interesting thing to look out for.
No, it really, really is. Well, Rafe, thank you for joining us, and don't run away.